Welcome to Advanblack's YouTube channel. I'm Steve, the service tech for Advanblack, and today I'm going to be showing you a brand new product from Advanblack, and that is the Street Glide outer fairing. So you may be saying to yourself, why would you change the outer fairing if it's already color matched? We understand changing the inner fairing because it comes black or comes gloss black depending on which model you get, and you may want to put a color matched one on there. The outer fairing, we do get some requests on. A couple of the reasons that we get are A, somebody dropped their bike or wrecked their bike and they're looking for an outer fairing that's color matched to go back on there. Or because Advanblack offers the couple of airbrush series, and we do all of the airbrush parts for the bike, and we pretty much cover everything from the rear, from the saddlebags, the fenders, the tour packs, the side covers, the gas tanks, the inner, the fender, the lowers, from all the way from the rear, but we never did anything for the outer fairing. So if you're purchasing the airbrush series, if you're purchasing a full set of tins with the airbrush already on them, you couldn't get the outer fairing. Now you can. So today I'm going to be showing you how to take your outer fairing off your Street Glide. It's very easy. We're going to put over on a soft table. We're going to transfer a few things from your OEM fairing over to your new fairing, and then we're going to put it back on the bike, and I'll show you what it looks like. Now in the 2014 up, the first thing we're going to do on the inside of your fairing, right here and right down here, you have a Torx 27 bolt. Get you a Torx 27 and get these removed on both sides of the bike. What I want you to do is take note of the bolt size. As you can see, you've got one long one and one short one. So take note when you're taking these out. Long one goes to the top, short one goes to the bottom. You don't have to worry about the fairing going anywhere by taking those 4 bolts out first, because you have 3 bolts right here across the windshield that actually holds the whole fairing on. But before we take these 3 bolts out, which releases the whole thing, we're going to go ahead and protect our fender. Now, once we have our fender protected, we can go ahead and remove the outer fairing. Now, generally, this is a 4mm Allen. Yours may be different. If you've got a trim ring like this from an aftermarket company and it's came with its own bolts, these could be different. So the first thing we want to do is remove this short screw and this short screw. This screw here is very long and it kind of holds everything together a little bit better. Now that we have these out, we can just loosen this one. You don't have to take the bolt all the way out at this point. You can kind of let the fairing fall forward just a little bit, and you should be able to rock your windshield out just like that. We set that someplace soft. We're gonna go ahead and take this bolt out. Now the entire outer fairing is loose, so we can just kind of roll this forward, set it down on our fender because we have it protected. We're going to reach in here, we're going to unplug the headlight. Any other lights that you may have hooked up. Now we can take this off of the bike. So now that we have our outer table on the soft, now that we have our outer fairing on the soft table, there's a few things that we need to take off of here and transfer over to the new one. Of course, on the inside here, you're going to have your 4 clip bolts. Those have to be taken off and put onto the new one. Get yourself a medium-sized flathead screwdriver, and you can generally just get under these from the outside edge, and you can pop these up and off just like that. So we're going to go ahead and get these removed. Now my outer fairing has one of these chrome stick-on overlay covers that goes over the vent hole. So basically, if you have one of these that is stick-on, you're going to want to get to the front side and peel this off. We can re-put it back on by peeling all the old tape off and putting some new double-sided sticky tape on there. But for mine, we're just going to peel it up, get it peeled up, and rock that off. And you can see right there, if you have one of these, just go ahead and strip this old stuff off and get you some new tape on there and re-stick it onto the new one. Now, all of the Street Glides will have this rubber piece right here in the vent area. Some of you may just have this black standard one like most of us, or you could have a color matched one. Either way, the color matched ones that you get are not an overlay usually. They are mounted into the fairing. So they're not a cover, they're a replacement. So we have to go to the inside. Now this one is held on by these little clips right here and double-sided tape. So if you look in here, you probably can't see it on camera, but if you look right here at the top, in the middle, there's a pretty long piece here, and there's some down here and right here. So if you have one of these little like X-Acto knives, you can go right in there and go ahead and score that. It's going to make this come out a lot easier. We've scored that one. Score this one. And that just releases that double-sided tape. Now, once you get that, all you have to do is push down on this. See how that released right there now? And you can push up on this to make sure this one's loose. Make sure that one's loose. Now, you just pop it out just like that. Now we need to take the headlight assembly out of the bike. Yours may look a little different than this one. A stock one, even with just a stock beauty ring on the front, is going to have a Phillips head screw down here at the bottom, just like this one. This is a Zero 3D with the side lights on it, the fang lights on it. So it comes off the same way. Phillips head screw at the bottom. Mine's got little rubber feet that actually pop in, so we have to pop those out. Now that I have that loose and exposes the bolts that I need to get to, at this point you will have to remove the headlight ring. This ring just secures the headlight to the mounting bracket, which also doubles as your adjustment bracket. So you should have 3 screws, one here, and one here, to take the ring off, and that will release the headlight out. And then you have access to the 3 bolts to go ahead and remove the entire housing. They're very small, so try not to lose them. Got one at the top, one on the side. Now from there, we can take the mounting ring off. Make sure that you don't lose your screws. Set that off to the side. Now our headlight is loose, so we can pull this out, get the headlight out of the way. Now this gives you direct access to the bolts that you need. Mine has these extra little silver things right here. That's where that outer bezel clipped on, those little spikes I told you about that popped in there. The next thing you want to do is remove these 4 bolts. You do not want to remove this bolt. So if you look on the bracket, you'll see 2 tabs. There's a tab here and a tab here with a bolt in it. You won't. So if you look at the mounting bracket, you'll see a bolt here, a bolt here, and a bolt here. And this is on the same. So if you look at the mounting bracket itself, you'll have the bolt at the top and 2 bolts, one on each side. Those are your headlight adjustment bolts. You do not want to mess with those, especially if you have your headlight already adjusted. So of course, pushing the left and right bolts are going to control your down and your left and right, and then your top bolt, of course, is going to adjust your top. So these 3 bolts right here do not touch. You want to go right over here to these 4 bolts here. Should be a Torx 25, so we're going to go ahead and remove those. Now from here, you can pull this entire thing out of the bike. Now we have one more piece of plastic. This is a plastic trim piece that covers the top lip right here on your outer fairing. If you flip it over, once again, it's just a couple of little teeth that are actually holding it on. You want to pop this up just with your finger like that. And once you get that up, you can pull it out just like that and then pull it up. So basically it hooks on this side and then it clips on this side. So once you get these pushed out, you just simply pull it away like that, and then you have this. Now that we've got the parts cleaned up, what we did then was just take that vent. Remember the 3M tape that we had to cut, or the double-sided tape we had to cut to get that vent to come off? Get you some Gorilla tape like this, or 3M brand, whatever brand you want to use. We use Gorilla here because it's super strong. Scrape that old stuff off with your thumbnail, cut you some pieces, stick them back on there, and then just simply put it back into the fairing. It's very easy. You just walk it up to the fairing, slide it in, make sure it's clicked, and then push it down. That's installed. Then we're going to come down to the headlight bezel area. This has just been painted, and sometimes I've seen them come in where the bolt holes have paint over them. It's not a big deal. You can still see where the bolt holes are. Take that X-Acto knife that you used earlier, poke it down in the hole, give it a little twist. It may have a little plastic slag or a little paint slag in there. Go ahead and twist it, pop it out like that. Make sure that all 4 of your bolt holes are accessible. First thing you're going to do is take this ring that we took off. Remember, the top slides on, the bottom clips in. Put it in an angle. See that clip right there? We're going to push it up, push it in. That's it. We're gonna bring our headlight bezel back over, and if you don't have that zero light on the outside, this is basically all you're gonna be working with. The way to make sure it's orientated the correct way is right down here at the bottom. You've got that tab that comes up and it's bent over. It's got the screw hole in it. That one goes down. That's for that outer beauty ring. So very easy to get this in the right position. We're gonna set that into place, and you can see that the bolt hole's lined up. We're gonna take those screws and we're gonna hand start them. I like to get them hand started in there, make sure that we have them all straight. So what you're doing is when you're putting this in is you're actually cutting the threads into the plastic the first time that you put it in there. Then from there, it's going to be threaded every time. So what you want to do, start them by hand, make sure that you have them all straight, leave them all loose until you get them all in. I'm gonna go ahead and set our headlight back in. Same thing with your headlight. If you've never replaced a headlight before, you've got these 3 little grooves right here, and they're kind of all offset from each other. So in case your headlight doesn't have some kind of wording on it, if it has wording on it, of course, turn it to where you can read the wording. This is a Vision X headlight, so it has it here. But if you just kind of have a plain Jane headlight and you're not sure if it goes this way or this way, it'll only really go one way. You see those little tabs on the back right there? When you spin it, it's going to fall into those 3 grooves. So we're going to put it in here. Now if I put this in here upside down, it absolutely will not go in. If you turn it the correct way, you'll see it fall right into place, just like that. There's only one way to do that. So when you get your beauty ring to put it back on, it only goes one way. So before you start tightening that first screw in, make sure that all of these line up. So if I turn this one will still go in, this one will go in, but this one's an inch off. So you have to make sure that you have all 3 holes lined up in the correct orientation before you start putting that first screw in. We're gonna go ahead and get that one started, but we're not gonna tighten it down. I'm gonna come over here and get this one started. Go up here to the top, which can be a little bit tricky. Feed it down in there and get that one started. And we want to make sure that this is seated correctly all the way around the headlight. We're just going to hold it and go ahead and tighten these down. Now that is how the OEM should look when you're done. All you have left to do is just put your beauty ring back on the outside. Now, because we have that serial one, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the camera, put my brackets back in, get my beauty ring back on, and then we'll put her back on the bike. So when you're putting a normal headlight ring back on a bike, it spins off in a direction. So when you put it back on, put it at a little bit of an angle. So your hole may be here, not right lined up with the hole. It may be right here. We're gonna slide it on, we're gonna give it a twist, and you'll feel that thing lock on until those holes line up. Once you get your headlight bezel lined up, go ahead and put your screw back in the bottom. Now on the back side, all you have left to do is put those nut clips back on. They just simply slip onto the plastic until you hear them click. I've already got 3 of them in, but I'll show you on this one. We're just going to slide it on, make sure the nut side is down in here, because your bolt from your inner fairing goes through this front hole and screws into the back, and that's what sucks it all together. So you want to make sure that you have the nut facing down. We're going to slide it on and clip it. Just like that. You're going to do that on all 4. And now it's ready to put back on the bike. Now pretty easy from here. We're gonna walk it back over. We're gonna reach in, we're gonna plug our headlight back in. We're gonna plug in any other accessory lights that you may have on your bike. Make sure our wires are out of the way. Roll the fairing into place. Here's the most important part about this. This bottom has to latch on. You can see right now, I can let go of the fairing. That bottom is holding it on. If it's not in there on this lower fairing skirt, then this will just fall straight down. So make sure that it's hooked over the lower fairing skirt and then roll it forward into place. From there, I will just grab my windshield trim or my middle bolt, whichever one you have, and just go ahead and hand start that. Now we know that's gonna hold that in place. I'm gonna go ahead and get the windshield into place. Now from there, we're gonna go ahead and put our fairing bolts in. You can kind of pull the 2 together, put your bottom short bolt in, get it started. Once again, I don't really torque any of these down until after I have everything installed. Long one on the top. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Short bolt in the bottom. Get your top one in, get it started. Now from there, we can go ahead and snug this down. Now when it comes to the two short windshield bolts, absolutely start these by hand. I've seen it happen 1,000 times, and there are repair kits on the market, but that brass grommet in there, if you get this little screw just a little bit crooked and you cross thread that, what happens is the bolt gets so tight that it will pop that brass grommet out of the plastic housing. And then you have to buy the repair kit, which is around $20 to fix those. So I always like to start these by hand. We want to look down in the hole, make sure everything is lined up. I can see my brass grommet. I'm going to pull it over. I'm going to push my trim down and just go ahead and hand start it. We're going to do that on both sides. Once again, starting that by hand. So generally, I never use any kind of power tools on the windshield bolts other than to take them off. Taking them off, you're never really going to risk the chance of stripping anything. But once you get them in, just go ahead and take yourself a regular ratchet. You're going to do that on both sides. We're just going to give them a little snug. We're going to run this one in. We're going to give it a little snug. That is it. That's all you need to do. We're going to go to our middle one. Give it a little snug. From there, all you want to do is go over, kick the bike on, make sure that you have everything hooked up correctly. If you have any type of blinker systems up here like that, any of the lights that you may have disconnected, go ahead, kick the bike on and check everything to make sure that you have everything reconnected the correct way. And since this is a freshly painted part, you're going to want to go ahead and put some kind of protectant on there. Any flavor that you like. I go ahead and use a quick detailer. I get all of the fingerprints off from the actual installation. Once we get all the fingerprints off, I'll come back with a little bit of wax, whatever flavor you like. Go ahead and get it waxed up and protected, and you're done. So that's pretty much it. Very, very easy install. 15 to 20 minutes, even if you've never done one before. Get the outer fairing off, put it on a soft table, transfer those couple little parts from your OEM one over to your new one and put it back on the bike. If you want to get your hands on a 14 and up color matched outer fairing, I will put the link down in the description down below. You can click that, take you straight over to Advanblack's website, or you can get up with one of our local dealers. If you have any questions on the product or the install, you know the deal. You can contact me over at Advanblack during the service tech number at the bottom of the website, or you can just leave a comment down below and I'll try to help you the best that I can there. I'm gonna get out of here, get myself back to work. I hope to see you in the next video, but until then, as always, be safe, keep your knees in the breeze.